I tend to agree more with conservatives. It is bad that Twitter is so censorious. I think that I tend to agree more with people who have an issue with that.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
The Alabama chapter of the National Lawyers Guild, the ACLU of Alabama, and the First Amendment Clinic at Duke University School of Law filed suit on Monday evening last week against the City of Florence and its chief of police, Ron Tyler, asserting that they used the city's parade permit and noise ordinances to discourage protesters from exercising their First Amendment rights. This is just, it seems like every single week we're coming to y'all with yet another story about free speech in this country. And about how the free speech fight is not on Twitter, or at least not primarily or only on Twitter. If you listen to some people, that's where you would think the only free speech fight in the country is right now, is on social media, and whether or not people can say the N-word in their Twitter posts. But week after week after week, we are coming to you with stories of legitimate government. The First Amendment we can have opinions about what Twitter should and shouldn't be doing and about what the government should and shouldn't do about Twitter. I think I tend to agree more with conservatives on that Twitter. It is bad that Twitter is so censorious. I think that I tend to agree more with people who have an issue with that. I would lean towards more speech, and I would lean towards a marketplace of ideas, right? That is my predisposition, and so I am inclined to agree with people who say that there's a problem with Twitter and a problem with Facebook, and especially that they have there is a problem with their control over the discourse, with the fact that billionaires are totally unaccountable to the public, and who are totally unaccountable to the public have such a huge, outweighed control over the discourse. I think that's an issue, and I don't think it's unreasonable that we should think about ways that the government should address that. But what I have an issue with is people that think that is the only thing, because we're coming to you, seriously, week after week after week, where the government is telling people what and when and how many and how loud they can or can't speak or assemble. We're coming to you week after week with stories of bosses threatening people with homelessness by firing them for their speech, for their protected, concerted activity. You are foolish and you are being deceived if you believe that the primary fight about free speech in this country is on Twitter. Since at least June of 2020, going back to this story, since at least June of 2020, protesters with local organization Project Say Something have engaged in peaceful demonstrations and other political activity protesting a Confederate monument located in front of the Lauderdale County Courthouse. Then, following the murder of George Floyd, Project Say Something continued to demonstrate, ultimately protesting approximately 160 to 175 times before the end of 2020. There were no documented incidences of violence or obstruction by Project Say Something at any of these 100-plus demonstrations. Nevertheless, in 2021, Chief of Police Tyler began conditioning permits on payment for unexplained police protection fees, threatening citations, relocating protests to locations with less visibility, and ignoring real threats and harassment from counter-protesters who were not subjected to the same scrutiny. In their press release, the Alabama ACLU asserted that city law enforcement officers have applied the parade and noise ordinances in inconsistent, arbitrary, and discriminatory ways, which led to a significant decrease in the number of demonstrations organized by Project Say Something, particularly near the courthouse where the Confederate monument is located. In fact, city officers have applied the noise ordinance so broadly as to even include unamplified human voices, resulting in protesters engaging in at least 10 silent protests to avoid retribution from the Florence police officers if they vocally protested in their intended location. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.